The original idea for this video was to do a review of JCH Street Pan 400. This is a black and white film available in 35mm and 120, and it was introduced by Japan Camera Hunter in 2016. I thought it would be an even better idea to talk to the person who brought it to market, Japan Camera Hunter himself, Bellamy Hunt. Now, 2021 is a really special year for Bellamy. It's the 10th year anniversary of Japan Camera Hunter. So we got to chatting about the beginnings of Japan Camera Hunter, his inspiration in bringing this film to market, the challenges he faced, and the things that he wanted out of a film. So let's go talk to him. I'm here talking to Bellamy of Japan Camera Hunter. Most of you, probably all of you watching this, know who he is. You've seen, if you don't know who he is, you've certainly spent some time on his website, which is japancamera.hunter.com. So Bellamy, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
A pleasure.
All right. So can you give us just like a short, quick rundown of who you are and how Japan Camera Hunter came to be?
Okay. My name's Bellamy Hunt. People know me as Japan Camera Hunter. And I run the Japan Camera Hunter website, which I've done since 2011. I sell cameras. I work on customizing cameras. We sell deal Miyazaki lenses, Bellamy lenses. We have our own range of products, film cases, soft release buttons, film. We run the website, which is reviews and photography articles and op-eds and all sorts of things, camera geekery, the YouTube channel, the Instagram, Facebook, all of that. So yeah, and we just aim to be this sort of conduit for people to find out about film photography and to find out about cameras and to find a camera or to buy a camera. But not just that, just being able to go to the website and have the information at hand that can help you make informed decisions about what you want to do with film photography.
I was before we started recording, I was telling you a story about how back as early as 2013, maybe 2012, I was looking for a review for a Fujifilm Class S, and that review was in one spot, and that was japancamera.hunter.com. So and so, I would make all kinds of buying decisions based on your website, and like to hear that it started in 2011. Is that correct? Okay, so next year is going to be your 10-year anniversary. So that's a whole decade of Japan Camera Hunter,
which I honestly never expected. So
you're right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about how did this whole thing start?
I was working for a company in Japan. I was already sourcing cameras and lenses for a company, working for a company, doing that as part of my job. But it wasn't my entire job. I worked in the photography industry, mainly with apparel, bags, that sort of thing, Domke and Think Tank and people like this, Crumpler. And I wasn't able to continue doing that job because I got sick. And so I decided that I was going to go and do something for myself. So while I was on this time off, this recuperation time, I set up the website and I decided, I'm good at sourcing cameras. I'm good at finding stuff. I know all of the people here. I've got a sort of home territory advantage, as it were. I can provide a service. So I did. Initially, it was only for private clients. And then I realized quickly that it's not going to be much of a full-time job unless I expand it, which is when I decided to make the website a bit more, if you know what I mean. And that was after about 6 months or so. I thought, okay, this isn't just a bit of a giggle to get me some nice cameras. This is actually a job. I put a lot more effort into building it, and it kind of exploded, really. First 2 years in particular, it went from nothing to full on very quickly.
Yeah. I can see that, because by the time I had found it, it was just pages upon pages deep of, like the most just the most esoteric, strange camera that I could think of, or that I knew of at the time that I wanted some information about. And it was like, okay,
Yeah,
it's always pointing to Japan Camera Hunter, and
almost.
it was pages deep. Yeah.
Yeah, and we vowed to keep that, so it's all still there. I can't even trawl through all of the site. I
Sure.
forget
Yeah.
what's on there. There's so much.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
unimaginably just huge now. It's quite an archive.
yeah, which is a problem for my web developer because when they had to do a backup, they just
Uh
looked and went, "Wait, what?
huh.
How many gigabytes? Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "Well, And he said, "No, but we need to do something about this."
Sure. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing, because while I really want to keep that up and I want it to be a free resource to everybody, the size of it now is starting to actually cost me legitimate money to keep it online.
I bet it is. Yeah.
Um, and so we've had to commercialize the site, I think,
Hmm.
a little bit, put adverts on it and stuff, just so that it can pay for itself, because otherwise it would just cost the earth. But I want it to be out there. I want it to be available for people. So
Well, sure. It's one of those resources that it's really easy to take for granted. Like from a consumer endpoint, it's like, okay, it's information on the internet. We don't think
yeah,
about the infrastructure. We don't think about the people behind it. We don't think about the toll it takes on hosting costs. It's
yeah,
just like I'm looking for a review on a camera, and there it is. Google will
yeah,
serve up millions of reviews on that. So
yeah,
definitely something
yeah.
we take for granted. I'm glad that you're working to kind of keep that as an archive. I think it's really important. So we appreciate the
Yeah,
work you put
me
into it.
too. Me too.
Yeah. That brings me to my next question, and really the focus of what we're talking about today is JCH Street Pan 400. What gave you the idea to even make your own film?
Um, I was shooting in Hong Kong, and you know, and I'd been thinking about it for a while, because a lot of the news, because at the time I was dealing with a lot of photo news,
Hmm.
film news. Um, the site was a bit more prominent back then in trying to be the first to feature news. And every piece of news that I got was Kodak is shutting this, Polaroid is shutting that, Fujifilm is canceling this. Everything was a discontinued,
Yeah.
everything. And I was like, this sucks. This is really disheartening, because I don't want to be giving people all this news every single time. This is going to be something that really hurts us.
Hmm.
And having been in the industry by then for a few years, and I knew connections, I knew people. I was shooting in Hong Kong, and I thought, you know what, um, I'm not. I want to shoot with a film that I want to have, like the old films that I had.
Sure.
And I was shooting a roll of Neopan 1600, which was my favorite film, and I was like, I love that contrast. And I was like, how can I have this again in some way? I mean, I'm not looking for a recreation, but how can I have something really contrasty, because this has already been discontinued? What am I going to do? And so I thought about it a bit more, and I spoke to some of my contacts, and I said, how feasible would it be to do something like, to make a film, to have a film out in the market? And they're like, yeah, we can work with you on this.
Okay.
So it took a couple of years. Well, no, yeah, a couple of years from the spark of the idea to
Sure.
actually having a product. Um, it wasn't easy.
Sure.
uh,
Yeah.
but but I knew I wanted to do it because I really wanted people to have some good news. Like, there's something new on the market, and I think it became kind of a catalyst, because once we did it, lots of other people did it, and
Yeah.
that was the primary goal. I didn't want to be the biggest filmmaker, or the only guy that did it, or
Sure.
sit on some pedestal or something like that. No, I just wanted to put something out that would give people a positive reaction and inspire other people to do something similar.
Yeah.
And I think that worked. I'm quite happy with that result.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think the film world is appreciative of what it has done and how it's kind of brought us to present day.
Once we had discussions, we had to start working out what we wanted from a film,
Sure.
what the requirements were, which requires lots of testing and going through to see what's suitable, designing, packaging, and then finding the money.
Of course. Yeah.
A lot of money. And
Hmm.
this was my own savings. I put all of my own money into it. I didn't borrow money. I didn't, crowd fund or anything like that. I kind of took a gamble,
Sure.
really. And it was a huge gamble. It was a huge amount of money for me to just put that on that, and in the hope that it might sell. After we knew what we wanted, we were able to get it to the market, and it's just a case of waiting for
Hmm.
the production, you know. And back then I was, I think, quite naive about how to market something as well.
Sure.
And I rushed, I think. If I look back now, I probably would have done it differently.
Interesting.
Uh, um, and that's just because I didn't really know what I was doing. I
Hmm.
don't come from a business background. I don't come from a sales or marketing background. So I was just feeling my way. And I think now, had I done it, I would have definitely had people to help me. Not just to, because I didn't even ask for copywriting or
Sure.
proofreading advice or nothing. I just did it and then
You
went, oh
just did
God,
it
look at all of
yourself.
these mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
And I think looking back, but those are the lessons you learn, aren't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would have given more out to people to test,
Hmm.
but even though despite that, it was still successful enough that we've been able to continue making it. Um, so it's served its purpose. It's
Sure.
achieved its goal.
Yeah.
Um, it is a boutique kind of film. It's not meant to be something that replaces HP5.
Uh-huh.
It's meant to be your special role.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, special roll. I mean, it took me like I ordered like the 10 rolls at the very beginning. I think it took me, gosh, the like 8 or 9 months to shoot through all of it. So it would be like, okay, like if I'm going on a trip or if I'm going somewhere I'm not usually going, that's when the special
Yeah,
stuff comes
yeah,
out. So,
yeah.
I wanted to
Sure.
get your perspective on what it was about the films that you liked that shaped the way that this stuff looks.
Yeah, so that comes back to the Hong Kong thing.
Hmm.
Um, I like shooting in Hong Kong because there's real strong contrast. There's a lot of buildings, there's a lot of glass, there's a lot of alleyways, shafts of light, there's dirt, there's grime. It's a brilliant place to shoot. It's one of my favorites. And once I knew what I wanted from the film and we started testing the film, it gave me what I wanted from Hong Kong. So it was
Hmm.
purely selfish.
Sure.
I wanted something really contrasty that would show the grit and the grime of Hong Kong, and this film has that really sharp contrast, which helps to sort of accentuate those things that I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it is really contrasty. But what I've noticed is in scanning it with the best scanner that I have is a plus deck, and in
Yeah,
scanning it using just the highest dynamic range and the highest resolution, is that even though the grain is visible, like you can see a lot of detail in that grain. Like
right.
it's grainy and it's sharp at the
It's
same
it's
time.
deceptive,
Yeah.
because I like shooting in sort of less than perfect conditions.
Hmm.
So I liked the fact that this film performs well in sort of cloudy and dusty
Right.
and steamy environments and things like that, and rainy, bad weather, misty. It performs well in that, and it's what we noticed was in the dark room. Even though it looks on negative, it's like, well, this is black and this is white, and there's not much in between. It's very sort of blown up. But when you actually get it in a
Yeah.
dark room, it's all there. There is so much detail in that grain that you can recover. Especially, I mean, this stuff is just fantastic in a dark room.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things I noticed is that I would see a lot of samples, and I would see before I shot it, I saw a lot of samples, and I would see really strong contrast, and I was I was thinking like, okay, I'm kind of wondering what happens to those midtones. I'm wondering how those highlights roll off. But when I shot it myself and developed it myself and scanned at home, I noticed that there's a ton in the highlights. There's a ton in the highlights that are retained. There's a
Yeah,
ton of like, just really rich shadows. So,
yeah,
and that's something that surprised me. And I posted samples on Instagram, and a few of the comments were surprised about the detail, the
yeah.
range of detail from the shadows to the
It-
highlights, knowing that this
That's
was street pan.
yeah, that's been one of the biggest feedbacks. People
Yeah.
weren't expecting it to be like that, and they had a lot more than they'd anticipated, which is
Yeah.
really good to hear.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So Bellamy, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me, and
Thank
um
you.
yeah, congratulations on, I mean, it's been a few years now, but congratulations on successfully bringing this
Well,
product to market back then.
yeah, look after yourself. Stay safe, everyone.
I want to give a big shout out to Bellamy for taking the time to talk to me about Japan Camera Hunter and JCH Street Pan 400. You should really check out his website. I'm going to leave a link to that below. It is a treasure trove of information. It's packed with years and years of info about cameras, gear, film, you name it. There's so much information on that site that's not available anywhere else. So that's worth checking out. It's also worth checking out this film. I think it brings a unique look to the market, and Bellamy runs a business that has been serving our community for a long time, and it's really worth supporting. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.